Imagine this scene. You've just earned your private pilot certificate and the ink is still practically wet. The world of aviation has opened up to you and the feeling is nothing short of magnificent. You decide it's time for your first real cross-country adventure, not just a hop to the next airport for a $100 hamburger, but a genuine journey. You spread your sectional chart across the kitchen table, a beautiful, sprawling map of possibilities. As you trace your intended route with a plotter, your eyes land on a bold, blue-hatched area with a stark warning, R2503. It's a big chunk of sky, sitting right where you wanted to fly. This, my friend, is your formal introduction to the world of special use airspace. That little red line on your GPS, or the big blue box on your paper chart, isn't just a suggestion, it's a boundary with a purpose. For a new pilot, it can feel a little intimidating, like a do not enter sign on the celestial highway. Your mind starts racing with questions. What happens in there? Can I fly through it? What if I fly near it? Will I have jets screaming past my window? Or worse, will I get a stern phone call from someone with a very serious title when I land? These are all excellent questions, and the fact that you're asking them means you're already thinking like a responsible pilot in command. Understanding these areas is not optional. It's a fundamental part of safe and professional flying. The scenario is a classic rite of passage. Every pilot, from the weekend flyer in a Cessna 172 to the seasoned airline captain, has had to plan around these special zones. Your first instinct might be to just draw a long, wide detour around the area, adding an extra 30 minutes to your flight. While that's often the safest and simplest solution, it's not always the most practical or necessary one. Knowing the rules and procedures turns that intimidating red box from a barrier into a manageable piece of the national airspace system. So, let's take a deep breath and demystify this big blue box on your chart. Think of this as your personal guide to navigating the complex, but not complicated world of special use airspace, or SUA. We'll break down what these areas are, why they exist, and exactly what you need to do to stay safe, legal, and out of trouble. By the end of this, you'll look at that R2503 not with fear, but with the confidence of a knowledgeable pilot who knows how to find the information needed to make a smart decision. This is a crucial skill that separates the amateurs from the aviators. Let's get started. Let's start with the big one. Restricted areas. When you see that R designation on your chart like R2503, it means you found a place where flying is, well, restricted. The reason is usually due to invisible hazards to aircraft. Think of things like artillery firing, aerial gunnery, or guided missile testing. These are activities you really don't want to stumble upon at 5,500 feet. The key thing to remember about a restricted area is that you cannot enter it without permission from the controlling agency. It's not a fly at your own risk zone, it's a do not enter unless cleared zone. Permission is the magic word here. But restricted areas are just one flavor in the ice cream shop of special use airspace. You'll also encounter prohibited areas, marked with a P like P40 over Washington, D.C. or Camp David. Think of these as the ultimate no trespassing signs in the sky. Flight is absolutely prohibited in these areas for national security reasons. There are no exceptions, no special permissions for a VFR pilot on a Sunday flight. You plan around them, period. Then there are warning areas with a W, which are similar to restricted areas but are located over international waters. The United States doesn't have sole jurisdiction there, so they can't legally restrict it, but they are warning you that hazardous activity is happening. Moving down the list, we have military operations areas, or MOAs. These are big blocks of airspace where military pilots practice their moves. We're talking high-speed climbs, aerobatic maneuvers, and formation flying. You can legally fly VFR through an MOA without a clearance, but the question is, should you? It's like deciding to jog through the middle of a football team's practice field during a scrimmage. It might be legal, but it's probably not the wisest choice for your health and well-being. The best practice is to always check if the MOA is active and to use extreme caution if you must transit. Finally, we have alert areas and controlled firing areas, or CFAs. Alert areas marked with an A are places with a high volume of pilot training or unusual aerial activity. Think of an area around a university with a large flight school. You can fly through them, but you should be extra vigilant, keeping your head on a swivel for other aircraft. CFAs are the sneakiest of all because they aren't even depicted on your chart. These are areas where activities that could be hazardous are conducted, but they have a spotter who immediately stops the activity if an aircraft approaches. Because of this safety measure, you don't have to worry about planning around them. It's easy for a new pilot to look at a chart cluttered with blue boxes and feel like the government is just trying to make flying more difficult, Why can't we just fly wherever we want? The answer, in a word, is safety. Every single one of these designated areas exists to separate civilian aircraft from activities that could be incredibly dangerous, or to protect important assets on the ground. Think about it from the other side. A military pilot practicing low-level attack runs in an F-18 needs to focus on their complex mission, not worry about a Piper Cherokee suddenly appearing in their windscreen. The airspace rules create a predictable environment for everyone. The reasons for restricted airspace are often tied directly to national defense and security. These are the places where our armed forces test new technology, train their pilots, and conduct live-fire exercises. The hazards are not theoretical, they are very real. An unguided rocket, an explosive charge, or high-powered laser testing can be catastrophic to a general aviation aircraft that wanders into the wrong place at the wrong time. The boundaries are established to contain these hazards, ensuring that what happens in the restricted area stays in the restricted area. Respecting these boundaries isn't just about following a rule, it's about self-preservation. The existence of prohibited areas should be self-explanatory. These zones protect critical national infrastructure and sensitive government locations, like the White House or the presidential retreat at Camp David. An unauthorized aircraft in this airspace is treated as a potential threat, and the response can be swift and severe. For pilots, the rule is simple and absolute: stay out. There is no ambiguity and no room for error. These areas are prominently marked on every chart and in every navigation database for a reason. They are the ultimate red lines on the map that you must never, ever cross. Even less critical areas like MOAs and alert areas serve a vital safety purpose. By designating these zones, the FAA is giving you, the pilot, a heads up. They are telling you, hey, be aware, there's something different going on here. In an MOA, it's military training. In an alert area, it might be a swarm of student pilots practicing stalls and slow flight. This information allows you to increase your vigilance, make better decisions about your route, and use services like flight following to enhance your situational awareness. These designations aren't meant to be restrictive, they are meant to be informative, helping you be a safer, more knowledgeable pilot. So you've found a restricted area smack dab on your route of flight. What now? Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to investigate. This is where good pre-flight planning separates the pros from the unprepared. The first step is to look at the details of that airspace, which are printed right on the edge of your sectional chart. Find the corresponding number, like R2503, in the chart's legend. It will tell you the controlling agency, for example, ZAB for Albuquerque Center, the altitudes it covers, such as to 14,000 MSL, and its times of use may be intermittent by NOTAM. This is your starting point. The phrase by NOTAM is your next clue. NOTAMs, or Notices to Airmen, provide real-time information about the status of the airspace. Before any cross-country flight, a thorough NOTAM briefing is mandatory. You can get this information from several sources: the FAA's official website, 1800wxbrief.com, calling a flight service specialist, or using an electronic flight bag application like ForeFlight or Garmin Pilot. Your EFB will often overlay active special use airspace right on your map, which is, honestly, incredibly helpful. Look for any NOTAMs that state the specific times your R2503 will be hot or active. If there's no NOTAM, it might be cold, but you must verify. Once you have the information, you can make an informed decision. If the NOTAM says the restricted area is active from 1000 to 1400 local time and you plan to be there at 1500, you're in the clear. You can plan your flight right through it, though it's still wise to monitor the controlling frequency just in case things change. If the area is scheduled to be hot during your flight, your best and simplest option is to plan a route around it. Calculate the extra distance and fuel burn. Is it still within your aircraft's and your personal limits? Safety always comes before saving a few minutes. But what if going around is a major pain, adding an hour to your flight? Your third option is to see if you can get a clearance through the airspace from air traffic control. This is not guaranteed, and is often unlikely if the area is truly active with hazardous activities. However, sometimes ATC can vector you through a portion of the airspace that isn't being used. The key is to have a backup plan. Plan your route as if you will have to go around it. Then, once you're in the air and talking to ATC, you can make the request. If they say unable, you simply execute your pre-planned alternate route without any stress or confusion. Let's say you've done your homework, and the restricted area ahead might be cold, or you want to request a transition. Your radio and your relationship with air traffic control are your best friends in this situation. The best practice for any cross-country flight, especially one near special use airspace, is to get VFR flight following. This service puts you in communication with a controller who can see you on radar and provide traffic advisories. It also makes requesting a clearance through a restricted area much easier, as you're already talking to the right people. It's like having a guide for your journey through the sky. When you're about 15 to 20 miles out from the boundary of the restricted area, it's time to make the call. Your request should be clear and concise, something like Albuquerque Center, Cessna 172, November Papa, request transition through R2503 at 5,500. The controller will then coordinate with the using agency of that airspace. They might come back with Cessna 2 November Papa, R2503 is cold, you are cleared to transit, or they might say, Cessna 2 November Papa, unable clearance through R2503, advise your intentions. Be ready for either answer. Your GPS and electronic flight bag are powerful tools for maintaining situational awareness. Most modern EFBs will display the boundaries of special use airspace and will provide audible and visual alerts as you get close. Don't become complacent and rely on them blindly, but do use them to your advantage. Set up your route in your EFB before you even start the engine. You can see exactly how close your course will take you to the boundary. This allows you to plan a buffer zone, staying a comfortable 5 or 10 miles away if you're not planning to enter. The magenta line is a great guide, but you are the pilot in command, responsible for knowing where you are at all times. If you are cleared to transit the airspace, follow the controller's instructions precisely. They might give you a specific heading to fly or an altitude to maintain. For example, Cessna 2 November Papa, cleared through R2503, fly heading 250, maintain 5,500. Read back the instruction, fly it exactly as assigned, and do not deviate. The controller is deconflicting your flight path from other traffic or activity, and your predictable adherence to their instructions is critical for safety. Once you are through to the other side, they will let you know you can resume your own navigation. Okay, let's talk about the moment every pilot dreads. Despite your best intentions and planning, you get distracted. Maybe you're wrestling with a chart, dealing with a passenger, or focused on a strange engine noise. Suddenly you hear those chilling words from the controller. Cessna 172, November Papa. Advise you are entering restricted area R2503. Possible pilot deviation. I have a number for you to call when you land. Your heart sinks into your stomach. You've just busted restricted airspace. The first and most important thing to do is this. Fly the airplane. Don't panic. Immediately turn to exit the airspace as quickly and safely as possible. Once you are clear of the airspace, you need to comply with the controller's instructions. They will likely give you a heading to fly to get you out of the way. Acknowledge their instructions and fly the airplane safely. The pilot deviation part of the call means the event has been officially noted. The controller is required to report the incursion. When you land, you will need to call the phone number they provided, which will connect you with a manager or quality assurance specialist at the ATC facility. This is your first opportunity to explain what happened in a calm and professional manner. The consequences of a restricted airspace violation can range from a simple warning to serious certificate action. The FAA will investigate the incident, they will listen to the ATC tapes, look at the radar data, and review your statement. Factors they consider include whether the airspace was active at the time, how far you penetrated the airspace, whether you were in communication with ATC, and your overall attitude and compliance. If the area was cold and it was a minor, unintentional error, you might receive a warning letter or remedial training. If the area was hot and you put yourself or others at risk, you could face a license suspension or revocation. The best way to handle this unfortunate situation is with honesty and a cooperative attitude. When you make the call, explain what happened factually. Don't make excuses, but do provide context. For example, I was distracted by an unexpected weather deviation and failed to notice my proximity to the boundary. The FAA is more interested in ensuring you've learned from the mistake than in punishing you. Participating in the NASA Aviation Safety Reporting System, or ASRS, can also be beneficial. Filing a report within 10 days of the incident may provide some immunity from certificate action, provided the violation was inadvertent and not criminal in nature. As we bring our flight to a close, let's distill everything we've discussed into a final checklist of key takeaways. First and foremost, always conduct a thorough pre-flight briefing that specifically includes special use airspace. This isn't just about weather and runway lengths, it's about knowing the airspace you will be flying through. Use all available tools, sectional charts, EFBs, and official FAA sources for NOTAMs. Make investigating special use airspace status a non-negotiable part of your pre-flight ritual. This single habit will prevent the vast majority of potential problems before you even start the engine. Knowledge is your best co-pilot. Second, when in doubt, stay out. If you are unsure about the status of a restricted area or military operations area, or if you can't get in touch with the controlling agency, the safest course of action is always to fly around it. A few extra gallons of fuel and a few extra minutes on the Hobbs meter are a tiny price to pay for safety and peace of mind. Never assume an area is cold, always verify. This conservative mindset is the hallmark of a mature and professional pilot. There's no shame in taking the long way around. In fact, it often demonstrates superior judgment and risk management skills. Third, embrace air traffic control. VFR flight following is one of the best free resources available to a pilot. It provides an extra set of eyes and ears and a direct line of communication to the people who manage the airspace. Don't be shy on the radio. If you need to ask for a status update on a military operations area, or request a transition through a restricted area, do it clearly and professionally. Controllers are there to help you. A simple Center Cessna 2 November Papa, what's the status of the Red Rock MOA, can save you a world of trouble. Communication is a critical layer of safety in the national airspace system. Finally, remember that you are the pilot in command. This title comes with ultimate responsibility for the safe outcome of the flight. That responsibility includes knowing and respecting the airspace you fly in. Mistakes can happen, but a commitment to continuous learning, meticulous planning, and disciplined flying will make them far less likely. Look at every encounter with special use airspace not as a nuisance, but as an opportunity to practice your skills and reinforce your knowledge. Fly smart, fly safe, and always know what's on the other side of that line on the map.